Hi guys, welcome to another video on the Smart 4.2. I normally do cash car videos, so if you're more interested in that, I'm afraid this video isn't going to be for you today, but feel free to watch. So a little bit of housekeeping first. This is a 2010 Smart 4.2 Passion Convertible. It's the 1 litre turbo model, but there's nothing I'm going to explain to you today that you would find on a different engine model, but we'll see how we go. Check out the first video I did for a information piece about how to turn off the traction control and ABS, just for a bit of fun in the snow maybe, or it gives you a little bit extra grip. But yeah, let's crack on with the tips for today. So we're going to start off with some tips about the gearing. So obviously they're all automatics, and your stick's down here. You may have flappy paddles on your steering wheel if you've got a different model. But the first thing I'm going to tell you about is that reverse is basically park. So on a normal automatic you would have sort of drive, neutral, reverse and park, but this doesn't have it. So if you need to put your car in park, because as you'll see in a minute this car is parked on a quite a serious incline, when you do turn the car off, just before you do turn it off, sorry, put it into reverse and you'll be able to take the key out and it will sit in park basically. Sticking with the gears, I'm going to show you. I start the car now, so I need to put it into neutral. There we go. Hopefully you can still hear me. If you have got, well, you will have a neutral, an automatic box, you'll have the button on the side to turn it from the up and down paddle shift style, gear change and automatic. You can also do it, if I put it into drive, so if you look up here we've got the auto. If you press the button, as you probably already know, it will change into gears, but you can also do that by just pushing up or down on the gear stick. So just by going up or down, it turns it from auto into gears. So that's the second one for the gear stick. Now moving on to the stereo. There's a lot of different stereos. Let me just turn the engine off so you can hear me. There's a lot of different stereos. I think there's 3 different sorts of stereos that the 451 came with. This is the Pioneer, what is it, the AVIC F310BT. Couple of tips for this. One, it does have an auxiliary input around the back, which just takes a standard 3.5mm audio cable. To remove it, there are other guides online. You just need to take the whole outside off, a couple of screws each side, pull it out, and you can just simply plug a 3.5mm cable in the back, and I've got it feeding into the glove box. So there's the first tip. Secondly, specifically for this one, the sat nav is removable with this button just here. It should pull out, it says, there we go. And when it does pull out, you can take the screen, and on the back, on the top, sorry, there's an on-off switch just here. If you turn that on, I don't know what the battery's like, there we go, you've got a handheld sat nav that you can use in another car, or you know, walking around town, stuff like that. Ignore the fact apparently I'm in France, this one's got an issue with it at the moment, it's not getting any reception, so yeah, that's that. So yeah, quite useful for if you want to have a sat nav elsewhere. Obviously it does run on battery, so it depends what your battery level is like, but it's quite useful. Just make sure you do turn it back to the off position before putting it back into the car, like so. Okay, so finally for the inside of the car, these pods up here, they are made for the EU model, the left-hand drive model. So yours, if there's not been changed, you will have your clock on this side and the tachometer or revs on the left side. They're really easy to swap over. You just need to remove this panel here, and they're held in with some screws, and you just need to swap the sides over, put them back in, and it's much better, I think, to have the revs nearer the driver and the clock further away. So that's that simple tip. That is it for the inside of the car. Next we're just going to go around to the boot. Right, so tip with the convertible, which I didn't even know about until someone told me, which I was really grateful for, is obviously when you open the boot and wanting to put stuff in, you haven't got a lot of load room to put things in. I did not realise you can actually lift the convertible top, so just come in, have a look, there's a couple of clips each side. Just under here, there's this little clip here where my finger is, and there's one on the opposite side. You just push them up and then lift, and the whole rear boot cabin opens and you get a lot more height, a lot more loading space. But once you've got that, if you've got this rear cover here, you can use to, you know, hide anything that you have got in the boot, you can adjust its position like so. So what you do, you undo it, and there's a handle this side, see the lip just here, pull that in and lift it up. Same on the other side, and you can, because I've just realised I've got both my seats right back, if you just look down in this corner, you can see this here, this square, there's one on each side. You can put the ends of the pole into each of them and have it lower down, so you can put large things into the boot that will go through to the front, if that makes sense. Like I said, I can't actually show you that right now because we've got both seats right there. The final thing I think a lot of people will know with the convertible is if you did want to take off your roof bars to have the roof completely off, they do go in this storage area. I think most people know about it, but if you didn't, there you go. You've got a space with the R and the L onto the foam, the right side and the left side. They just go in there, close this, and they're away safely, nice and clear, out of the way. So that's that. Before we shut the boot, make sure you push this back down. Like so. This is what I was saying about the incline. The car is on quite a steep drive, so the fact that we leave it in reverse, effectively park mode, it needs to be, otherwise I don't think I trust the handbrake very much. So finally, if we just go around to the front of the car, the last bit. So again, not a simple way of doing things, but that's the smart, I suppose. To open the bonnet, again, you may not already know this, under here where this grill is, you've got these clips each side. So you pull them like so, and then the same on the other side, and as you do it, you'll notice the bonnet lifts. Once you've done that, just lift the bonnet up, pull, and it comes away. Now, it's held on by this strap, as you can see, and you don't want it banging around. So you'll see you've got these two sort of poles each side and two holes. You literally put them into there, and it holds it in place. It's not banging against the front bumper whilst you refill your washer bottle, etc., etc. And that is the second to last one. Just one thing that I remembered as I'm out here, if I just grab the key. If when you lock the car, your indicators flash 9 times, so you'll see now, that is the car telling you that your key battery is low. So I'll be changing that battery next. So that's it for the smart car tips for this one. If you've got any that you think I've forgotten or I really could do with letting other people know about, please do get in touch with the comments. And we are, I think as of right now, we're 12 subscribers off 1,000, so if you could subscribe to me, that would be amazing, and you'll get to see all the future videos. Like I say, if you do happen to own a Qashqai like I do, just behind we've got the Qashqai that I've got a lot of videos based on too, so that'd be great if you could subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much.